if you ever have thoughts that go through your head that sound something like, I'm not good enough, I don't have what it takes, if people knew who I really was, then they'd reject me, they would want to have nothing to do with me, there's something wrong with me, there's something broken in me, I am unworthy, I am not valuable, then, my friend, you struggle with shame. Which, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, we all do. At least some of the time, we all have thoughts like that go through our heads. Because shame is one of those things that we all have, but none of us really want to acknowledge or even admit because it feels so bad. If I tell someone that I don't think I'm good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not lovable enough, I'm a reject, I'm a loser, I'm flawed, then they're going to know and they're going to see it too. So we don't. But the truth is, having these thoughts are part of being human. You are not wrong or bad or weird for having these thoughts. Shame is something that is right or wrong, or fortunately or unfortunately, part of being human. And so today we are going to talk about moving through things that trigger shame. I'm just going to give you a little step-by-step process that you can start practicing right away the next time you trigger shame or shame is triggered. And I want you to, even before we talk about this, I want you to just start paying attention to what shame feels like in your body. So the next time you feel shame, how do you know you're feeling shame? For a lot of us, it's kind of like this hot feeling in our head, or this like tightness in our chest, or this like kind of warm wash that goes over our whole bodies, or a tingling in our armpits, or even something like tunnel vision where we just almost like our vision changes, or even just have that kind of tunnel vision where everything is just sort of focused in on one spot and everything else is kind of foggy. It can be just an overall foggy feeling. How do you know? So that's going to be your first thing to do if you are not sure exactly how shame feels in your body. Do that, and then you come back and watch the rest of the talk and we can work on together these steps to move through shame. Deal? Good. If you're new here, welcome to our incredible little corner on the internet. Take a second, introduce yourself in the comment section below. If you are back again, it is always good to have you. If you're one of my shifters, so glad you're here. Special shout out to you. Identify yourselves in the comments. Love having you here. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Button's about right down there. Like the video if you get something out of it. That would be amazing and super helpful. Either way, my name is Kristina. I'm a registered clinical therapist, a researcher, a coach, and the creator of my membership community, the Shift Society, which I just mentioned. The shifters are the members of the Shift Society, the folks who are in there creating shifts for their lives, creating fundamental shifts in how they think about themselves, how they feel about themselves, how they approach life, how they approach their relationships, how they approach their jobs, what they go for in life, their quality of life. They are making these major shifts in that program. You can get more information about in the comments section, in the description below. Either way, I help heart-centered humans get through the crap that is holding them back so that they can like themselves and their lives more every day. And shame is some crap that we need to get through. And I'm not here to promise you that you start working on shame and you're never going to feel shame again. Yeah, it is probably going to rear its head in the most inopportune moments when you're already feeling vulnerable, when you're already feeling scared, when you're already hurt or feeling rejected. Then shame is probably going to show up and start, shouting some things in your brain about how you're not good enough, how you're not worthy enough, how you don't have what it takes, how you're unlovable, right? All of these things that shame likes to do. But we are going to get better at moving through that shame when it does come up. And the first thing that we want to do to start moving through shame and to moving through when something comes up that triggers that shame is to get curious. What happened? Be specific. What happened? What created this shame? I feel this warm wash over my body and I'm feeling like a pathetic loser. I'm feeling stupid. I'm feeling unworthy. I'm feeling unlovable. Why? What happened? Did someone say something to me? Did someone use a specific tone of voice with me? Did someone look at me with like a disgusted or kind of angry look? What actually happened? Did I do something and someone saw it and now I'm wondering what they're thinking about me. What happened? What did someone say? What did I do? What did they do? What was the circumstance? What was it that came up? Why am I feeling ashamed right now? Really getting curious about that, and like specific about what happened there. So we have to identify what is creating the shame in the first place. So this person did this or said this, and now I'm feeling this. Now, if you're a shifter, you know that it's not what they did or said that's creating the shame. It's our automatic thoughts about what it means, what they did, and that's what creates the shame. But that's a whole deeper level that you don't need to worry about if you're just here to kind of get some first steps in this. Come and be a shifter, and we'll get into the deeper levels of this all. But for right now, just get really curious. Why? What did they say? What did they do? Why am I feeling this shame right now? And then what we want to do is start to notice what is going on inside of our bodies, right? So we talked about before how to start like paying attention. How do I know that I'm feeling shame? Because something happens, right? So I want to get really kind of good and curious about that, and really have that kind of that connection to ourselves. How do I know I'm feeling shame right now? Oh, because these feelings are coming up in my body. This experience is coming up in my body. So now I want to get more kind of laser focused on that and be like, where am I feeling the shame? Where is it coming up? Do I feel nauseous? Do I feel a tightness in my chest? Is my heart racing? Do I have that warm wash over my body? And just starting to pay attention to those physiological sensations. So often we have an emotion that's uncomfortable, right? Emotions are physiological sensations in our bodies that they're feelings, right? They're feelings. We feel something in our bodies that we often run from. We often try to escape from and avoid and repress, but we want to do the opposite. And it's going to sound a little bit crazy at first. You're like, what? You want me to like sit in that discomfort? And the answer is yes, because I want you to show yourself that it's not dangerous, that it's difficult and uncomfortable, but we run from, we repress, we avoid our emotions, which doesn't actually deal with anything. It doesn't heal anything. It just gets us really good at getting really fast at avoiding, right? We get so quick at just avoiding, repressing, numbing, but it doesn't actually deal with anything. And so we need to just be able to trust ourselves and our bodies in those moments to be able to experience whatever is coming up for ourselves without running from it. Just being able to say, this is a moment of discomfort. I feel this pit feeling in my stomach. It's not going to kill me, right? I feel this tightness in my throat. It's not going to kill me. It's difficult and it's uncomfortable, but this is just what's happening. This is the result or the manifestation of my experience of shame right now because of what just happened. And now the next step is to just get really good and curious about what do I call this experience? Right? So underlying it's shame, but am I feeling afraid? Am I feeling angry? Am I feeling embarrassed? Am I feeling sad? What is it? Am I feeling empty? Am I feeling hopeless? What is the feeling that I'm feeling along with that shame? So the overarching experience is shame, but what else is coming up for me in this moment? If I've just been rejected, I'm feeling ashamed because I just got rejected. So now I'm telling myself that I'm not good enough. But now I might also be afraid because I'm like, oh my gosh, if I didn't get that job or that position or get into that program, what am I going to do? Where do I go from here? I can't do it. I'm stuck. I'm trapped. It's not working. I'm a failure. Right? So we're going to be having a few different emotions that are going on at the same time. So just getting curious, what is coming up for me right now? And then which moves to the next one, which I just sort of talked about, is just starting to notice what thoughts are going through your head. When you're experiencing that shame, are you telling yourself, I'm not good enough, I don't have what it takes, I'm never going to get this right, I'm never going to find someone, I'm never going to have what I want, I'm always going to screw up, people are always going to be judging me? What are those thoughts that are going through your head that are creating the shame? And just really noticing what thoughts. That person did this thing, that person looked at me sideways, that person made a rude comment to me. That person rejected my proposal. That person broke up with me. That person didn't give me the job. What am I making that mean? What are the thoughts that are going through my head right now? I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. I'm not valuable enough. I'm not lovable enough. I'm never going to be able to do this. I'm never going to be able to have this. There's something wrong with me. What are those thoughts that are going through your head? After we've developed that understanding within ourselves, what's going on? Where is this shame coming from? What is happening inside of me? What does it feel like? What are the thoughts that are going through my head? And just giving ourselves this moment, which we don't do. We're like, shame, run. Instead of just being like, okay, what is actually coming up for me right now? Well, some of us run and some of us fight, right? We get into that triggering, that fight or flight response, where some of us run away and some of us end up lashing out or saying things or doing things that we end up regretting later. We act brashly, we act irrationally, we act just unconsciously in that moment because we're in that kind of fight or flight. Or maybe even you might freeze and just kind of stand there, eyes wide open with this whole big warm wash going through your body and this tunnel vision and this racing heart. And you're like, I don't even know what to do. I'm just standing here and I can't do anything. And I see myself standing here and I see that I'm looking even worse and like not doing very well at handling this. And it's not going well, but I can't do anything. So what is your reaction to that? And just learning how to be with that response, acknowledge that response, get curious about that reaction. Instead of just getting stuck in it and letting it take over, taking a step back, taking a breath and saying, what's happening? What's going on? What am I feeling? What am I thinking? Yeah. And then we need to start doing some healing work around it. So it's not just about acknowledging the feelings. Then after we've given ourselves that space and that mindful curiosity to understand what's going on, then we move into the self-compassion, right? We move into that next step of being able to take a moment and a step back and say, okay, self, you're having a human moment right now. There's nothing wrong with you for having a reaction. This is part of being human. Now, our emotions and what comes up for us is not right or wrong and good or bad or whatever, but what we do with it can be hurtful or harmful or unhealthy or unproductive, right? Lashing out with words of words of violence, with words of anger, with words that are intended to wound or hurt, doing something, hitting, kicking, sabotaging someone else, that can be harmful. Running away, avoiding, ghosting, that can be harmful. So it's not what you feel that is bad. There's no such thing as a bad feeling or a wrong feeling, but what we do with it can be very unhelpful. So we want to just move into this compassion for our human experience in this moment, this compassion for whatever it is I'm feeling, this compassion for being a regular human being that's actually just experiencing regular human feelings. Give myself gentleness and tenderness for whatever it is. Instead of, right? So the antidote to shame is self-compassion. So instead of coming in and beating myself up, what's wrong with you? Why are you so pathetic? Why are you such a loser? Why are you not good enough? You don't have what it takes. Just being able to say like, wow, it's understandable that you're feeling hurt right now, disappointed right now, upset right now, sad right now, because this was a difficult experience. This was a disappointing experience. This was an unexpected experience. This hurt. This felt bad. It's understandable that you're feeling these things because this kind of sucked. And then we give ourselves that opportunity to soothe ourselves, speaking to ourselves as we would a good friend. So if a good friend came to you and was like, I just prepared for 2 weeks for this interview, and I went in and I did the interview, and I didn't get the job. I'm dumb. I don't have what it takes. I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to do it because there's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. I suck. You wouldn't be like, yeah, and you're totally pathetic. Who do you think you are going for something like this? You're such a loser, right? We wouldn't say that to a friend. We'd be like, oh my gosh, you worked your butt off for this. And for whatever reason, they went with someone else. So let's get curious about that, But let's not beat you up about that. Like this was a competitive interview and you went for it. And I saw that the work that you put into it. And I also have seen all the great work that you've done and all the praise that you've received and all the high reviews that you've gotten, job performance reviews. Like, you know what you're doing and you can do this. And this is tough right now. Rejection hurts. Rejection sucks. It doesn't feel good, but you have so many receipts in that drawer there, in that back drawer that you're forgetting to go look at, that show that you do have what it takes, that you can do this, that this is a setback. But what I'm more interested in is your comeback. Right? So this is how we learn to talk to ourselves, with words of love and with encouragement, with understanding, with compassion. How would you want to be spoken to if you just experienced a breakup, right? If someone had just ended a relationship and you went to a friend, you're like, I'm heartbroken. I'm so unlovable. No one's ever going to want me. Your best friend wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, I know. And you do this like weird thing with your eye when you're tired. Like, oh my gosh, no wonder nobody wants you. You wouldn't say that. You'd be like, yeah, it hurts and it sucks. And I'm so sorry that this happened. I'm here for you. I love you. You are a wonderful human being. And I know that this is hard. And it's going to take some time to heal. And, well, I love you, so that proves that you are not unlovable. Right? What would you want to hear from a best friend, from someone that had your back? What were those words? It's going to be different for all of you. Maybe those words that I just said, you're like, no, that's not what I'd want to hear. But what would you want to hear? Thinking about it, when you are experiencing something that's bringing up shame, what would you want to hear? What are you like, I just need to hear this from someone? And how about offering those words to yourself? Absolutely. We are relational beings, hardwired for connection. It makes a difference to hear those words from other people as well. But it is very powerful when we learn to give those words to ourselves. When you're down, are you going to kick yourself or are you going to catch yourself? That is always up to you. And as we get better at catching ourselves when we're down, when we fall, it beats back that shame. Shame cannot survive in the face of compassion. Shame cannot survive in a place of love and encouragement. It cannot. So giving that to yourself to help you move through shame when it is being triggered is going to be healthy, it's going to be healing, and it's going to decrease those experiences of shame and the frequency and the intensity. So noticing what's coming up for you, noticing what happened, noticing what you're feeling about it, noticing what you're thinking about it, and then offering yourself encouragement, love, and compassion for that. And then, the next step is to decide what you want to do and how you want to handle it. But that's a whole other talk for a whole other day, deciding what actions you want to take, how you want to move forward from it. We're not going to cover that here, but this is this first step, these first kind of parts of being able to heal from that shame as it comes up so that it's not plaguing you, debilitating you, holding you back, having a negative impact on you, getting you stuck, because I know it feels awful. In my book, Drive Your Own Darn Bus, there's a whole section on shame. Understanding what shame is, where it comes from, why we struggle with it so much, and then what to do about it. I've talked to you about a few things here, goes a lot more in depth, gives you some step-by-step strategies. There's like I said, a whole section on shame, because again, we're not talking about it enough because none of us want to talk about it, because we don't want to admit it, because then other people are going to see it, and that is going to make us feel even worse. But if we all just sort of acknowledge and admit it, then it collectively, we fight against it, because shame loves secrecy. Shame loves it when we keep it inside and don't tell anyone, because then it just gets to infiltrate and create more stories and more beliefs and more shame when it's just festering inside of us, because we feel so alone in those experiences instead of acknowledging and understanding and admitting that it is a common humanity experience. So get my book, Drive Your Own Darn Bus. There's other things in there too, about boundaries, about managing anxiety, about learning how to manage our thoughts and feelings, about how to change how we think and feel in every situation of our lives. people pleasing, overwhelm. There's all this goes into depth. So all these just normal struggles that most people, if not all people, have at least some of. So life doesn't come with a manual, but this is one of the closest things to that for a lot of these issues. Grab that book. Get it everything major retail, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Chapters Indigo, all over the world. Just Google it. If I don't put the link, I'll put the link for a few of them right there. But yeah, you just Google it and you can get it and you're going to love it. And also my 10-minute guided mindfulness exercise. That one's free, right down in the description. Going to help you just learn how to not get so caught up in your thoughts and feelings, being able to take a step back so you can process them. That one is completely free. So get my book, Drive Your Own Darn Bus. It is practically free. Very accessible way to get all these tools and information. There's the audiobook as well on Audible. And then also completely free, my 10-minute guided mindfulness exercise. It's going to be a great thing in addition to the book. Let me know your thoughts. If you're willing to admit it, is shame something that you experience, at least sometimes? Would love to hear that in the comment section below. If you got something out of the video, if I could ask you to take a second and like it, it is really helpful and I really appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Always good to be with you. Until next time, take good care of yourselves. Take good care of those around you. Bye for now.